Derby County announced their squad ahead of the tour to Austria, and it's a very, very interesting one, with many first-team players missing due to injury. We've also seen a big return for Derby County as well as a range of different youth products heading to Austria. Now, obviously, across the course of this week, we're going to be seeing a lot of training content. Obviously, there's a game on Friday against Red Bull Salzburg, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this sort of group of players sort of becomes cohesive together, and it's going to be interesting to see if any of those youth talents can bring themselves into the forefront of the first team picture. Now, obviously, yesterday I dropped a video discussing what to expect from this week, but we're going to be talking all about the squad that is in Austria right now and what I think needs to be added to Derby County's squad and what could come next. Now, obviously, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. But let's get into the squad. Do you want to win yourself the brand new Derby County 2025-26 home shirt? Well, I'm here to give you an opportunity to do that. There will be a link down in the description where you can head on over to raffle.com to join a raffle where you can win the Derby County home shirt. Ticket prices start at just £1 with a range of different discounts available. You can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets, get 10 free, and 15 tickets to get 15 free. The intention with this is to give you guys the opportunity to win a Derby County shirt for less than the valued cost in the shop. So if you haven't done so already, head on down to the description, click on the link in the description, which will take you over to raffle.com, create yourself an account, answer the question, and join this raffle. The winner will be announced on August 1st at 6 p.m. as the transfer window begins to draw to a close. So if you haven't done so already, head on over there and get your tickets. Now, for Derby County, we obviously have a wide range of players out currently injured. Obviously, with the likes of Sondre, Langas, Lars Jorgen Salvesen, Joe Ward, they're all not involved in this squad and all missing out. We have seen the return, though, of Curtis Nelson. And when it comes to sort of first team, what I'd consider senior players, there's 19 of them on this trip. Obviously, Kmar Roof, who is currently on trial, he's headed out, but we haven't seen Eric Peters. Now, we go on to the youth product, and I believe there is about 11 of them. Some very, very good prospects in there as well. Some who you may know well, some who you may not know. Now, obviously, when we look at the seniors, you've obviously got those 3 goalkeepers of Zetterstrom, Vickers and O'Donnell, which isn't surprising. And they're joined by Jack Thompson. I think he's 18 years old now. Obviously, recently signed his first professional contract at Derby County. And for me, those goalkeepers are perfectly fine. I think Jack Thompson is certainly one for the future, and it's really good to get him on these trips. Last year, he was taken to Spain. I believe he suffered a couple of injuries during the season last year, which meant that he maybe didn't progress and get as many loan spells out to non-league and things like that as maybe Derby County would have wanted, but that is okay. We go into sort of like the defensive area, and I think if you look at that right back slot, it is very, very weak. You've obviously got Kane Wilson and Jake Rooney who can play there. I believe Jack Perry can play in there as well as Darren Robinson. But it's one of those for me where, in terms of a first team position, obviously there's Isaac Gordon as well, who's on this trip to Austria after a wonderful performance against Matlock Town. I think it's one of those for me where if there's one position in this squad that I think needs sort of potential improvement, it is that right back position, with Wilson, Nyambe and Ward all sort of injury hit over the course of their time at Derby County. It is something that me personally I'd look to improve. Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we've seen the return of Curtis Nelson. He's back on the grass with Derby County, although he's not expected to return to matches essentially until around the end of September, October time. But it will be interesting to see how that's dealt with. We saw a similar situation with Jake Rooney, who picked up a knee injury and then ended up not playing for the first team last season. But we'll see what happens with Curtis Nelson. I believe he probably will be utilised. But in respect of that centre-back position, obviously you've got Jake Rooney, Curtis Nelson, Danny Bart. You've got Forsyth who can drop in there. Obviously Matt Clark as well. And I don't think there's anybody else that I'm missing in that position. But also there is a couple of youngsters through the likes of Rio Canaville. You've got Tristan Gill, who's played on the left-hand side of a 3 before. You've obviously then got Darren Robinson and Kai Robinson, who can both play in that position as well, which will be very interesting to see sort of how they do sort of face up into this squad that we will potentially be playing on Friday. Now, obviously, the left-back position, you've got Fozzie, you've got Callum Elder, you've got Tristan Gill, Ben Osborne can play in that role as well. So it's one of those where we've got a lot of numbers for that position. Obviously, I don't think I mentioned Freddie Turley for the right-back position, another youngster who certainly set the world a little bit alight in regards to that pre-season friendly versus Matlock Town. So we've got some decent numbers out there. You look at sort of the midfield options, you've got Ben Osborne, Ibu Adams, Kenzo Helpmine, Liam Thompson. Obviously, Darren Robinson can play in there as well. I believe Turley can, and Jack Perry as well. You've obviously got sort of that conversation in regards of Lennon Wilden, as sort of maybe a number 10 sort of situation, but obviously we can see how that progresses over the course of the next few weeks. And then obviously in the forward line, you've got Caden Jackson, Corey Blackett-Taylor, Kmar Roof, Andreas Weimann and Carlton Morris, and you cannot forget the likes of Charles Abuka, Justin Oguntolu. Obviously you can put Lennon Wilden in that group as well. Now, for me, I will be completely honest, I am quite surprised that there's no Cruz Allen. I'm not entirely sure on the situation with Dejan Brown. Obviously, was a situation where he couldn't play at the weekend because he wasn't 100%, and maybe that's sort of the situation that they've done here, getting back to full fitness rather than sort of take him on this trip and potentially pick up another injury. But we'll obviously have to wait and see on that one. I am quite impressed with some of the names that I'm seeing in this sort of youth section that Derby County have taken. Cannaville is a player that when I was at Derby was coming through the ranks, obviously, and was sort of one of those players who caught your eye, obviously, and I think it's good to see that he's sort of progressed. Tristan Gill was one of the players who was sort of rising through the ranks when I was there as well, and there's some really, really good players sort of coming through at Derby County, and it is really, really interesting to see Oguntolu, another one in that forward area. And I think if you look at Derby County in that sort of forward area, still obviously awaiting the announcement of Patrick Agyemang, and there's a lot of sort of conversations and deals that still need to be done for me. But I'm disappointed there's no Harry Hawkins. I'm disappointed there's no Cruz Allen. Obviously, you've got sort of the situation in regard to the likes of Luke Banks, Niall McAndrew. There's some other players who I maybe would have taken, but obviously, as I'm not sort of in the building at Derby County, I don't really know sort of fitness levels, injury situations in regards to that. I know that McAndrew missed at the back end of last season. I know that Luke Banks had a big injury last year, so maybe that's just a case of rehabilitation. You look at someone like Dejan Brown as well, who I've already mentioned, who obviously didn't play at the weekend with a bit of a knock, so I'm guessing that is a similar situation here. Now, obviously for me, do I think that this is the end of the road for those sort of players for this season? I certainly don't believe so. Obviously it's only the 15th of July. We don't know what this squad's going to look like. I think it does sort of show the true picture of where Derby County is sort of needing improvement. I think that midfield area is sort of guaranteed that Derby County need players, and that's one of the reasons why I am surprised that there's no Harry Hawkins, there's no Cruz Allen. Now, the only reason why I could see that they haven't gone is that there's potential loan deals being discussed or potential deals away, which would obviously benefit their sort of future and obviously benefit us as well. But we're obviously going to have to wait and see on that one. Now, it was reported by a couple of Walsall fans that Darren Robinson had played for Walsall a couple of weeks ago, and also Dan Cox, Derby County Academy centre-half. And obviously Dan Cox isn't involved, but Darren Robinson is. So it is going to be it's going to be an interesting sort of idea to see how this squad sort of progresses over the course of the next 10 days, because obviously this week away, Derby County will now be on day 2 in Salzburg. Well, it's not Salzburg, is it? It's just we'll just go with Austria. But it's one of those for me where some of these youngsters could make themselves key parts of this first team picture, given the fact that under 21s don't need to be registered. I think at the moment Derby County have about 20 to 23 players that will need to be registered depending on sort of fitness and things like that. You obviously then go to the academy and you need those sort of players who can sort of bolster the numbers and sit on the bench, maybe get an opportunity. And I think for me, I'm also surprised that Owen Eames hasn't been given an opportunity, wasn't involved versus Matlock, and hasn't been involved. I don't think he was involved versus Matlock. I will go and check, but it's one of those where I am kind of surprised that he's not been given that opportunity to go to Austria with them. Now, it could be for a range of different reasons. I'm obviously not going to get into the specifics of why it isn't, because obviously I don't know that fact. But it's one of those for me where I am quite surprised that he hasn't been involved in this, because he's one of those players for me who, based on performances last year, should be really teetering on the edge of sort of that first team picture. Now, I know he's a smaller lad, which is, in a way, is very similar to Liam Thompson, apart from the fact that he's sort of heavily involved in sort of creating chances, scoring goals and things like that. So it is going to be interesting to see how that sort of situation develops, because a position that Derby County need bodies at the moment is midfield. It is that creative element, that goal scoring element in midfield. So we're obviously going to have to wait and see how that one does progress. But yeah, was not involved versus Matlock. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think half of these youth players are going to be involved for Derby County's first team next season, but I think this is where sort of you build your opportunity. You get 24/7 for 6-7 days with the coaching staff, with the first team players, to see how you sort of fit in and how it sort of goes. And I think I am a little bit disappointed that Cruz Allen didn't get the opportunity. Obviously, could be injury related. I'm disappointed about Noah and Eames and Harry Hawkins. But obviously, you can let me know your thoughts on that one down in the comments. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And I'll catch you in my next video. Do you want to win yourself the brand new Derby County 2025-26 home shirt? Well, I'm here to give you an opportunity to do that. There will be a link down in the description where you can head on over to raffle.com to join a raffle where you can win the Derby County home shirt. Ticket prices start at just £1 with a range of different discounts available. You can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets, get 10 free, and 15 tickets to get 15 free. The intention with this is to give you guys the opportunity to win a Derby County shirt for less than the valued cost in the shop. So if you haven't done so already, head on down to the description, click on the link in the description, which will take you over to raffle.com, create yourself an account, answer the question, and join this raffle. The winner will be announced on August 1st at 6 p.m. as the transfer window begins to draw to a close. So if you haven't done so already, head on over there and get your tickets.